cooking for Valentine's Day. We're going to have bay covered potatoes, the bay leaf potatoes, rosemary chicken, which was requested by the Grand Princess who loves the rosemary chicken, and corn as our fresh corn off the cob that I'll fry up as our vegetable. So here's what's cooking. Right now I have the potatoes frying up in some bacon grease, and to save time, because this could be a long video and I'm just going to make it quick and short and sweet, I'm letting the potatoes fry up, and then I'm about to cover them in, well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. I have the oven set to 450. I let it preheat to 400 degrees, not 450. I let it preheat to 400 degrees. It's already preheated. I have my potatoes frying right there on the stove top, and I'm going to keep them in that cast iron skillet when I put them in the oven. I've got them frying in bacon grease right now. Once they get a little bit soft, so it won't take so long for them to bake. Once they get a little bit soft and get some brown to them, I'm going to cover them in bay leaves, and that's when I'll show them to you. So sit tight, because I'll be right back. So I've got them off the oven, off the stove top now, and they smell so good. Now, what I did is I cut up some onions last minute and put some raw onions on top. I'm not a big onion fan. I don't care for onions, but I love onions and potatoes. The taste together is just like, oh, so good to me. But if you don't like onions or allergic to onions, don't even have to put the onions in there, because onions are something I just added actually for the first time. Normally I just make it with potatoes, salt, pepper, and garlic salt, and bay leaves, and that's it. But I thought I'd try a little something different today. But here's what it looks like right here, and I'm fixing to cover it with bay leaves. Now this is what's key. You're gonna have to make sure that you have the dry bay leaves, and you have to cover the potatoes very well. Now this is the pan that I fried them in. It still has a little bit of bacon grease, and you don't have to use bacon grease if you don't want it. You can use any type of oil. You can use any type of oil that you like. I just had some extra bacon grease that I wanted to use, and I thought this would be a good way to get it used. Normally I just use olive oil or peanut oil, but you want to make sure that the potatoes are really covered. In fact, I could actually probably use a little bit more than that. If y'all see my little towel behind me, it's because I'm cooking today. I'm cooking a whole lot more than what I'm showing. So today's a busy day in my kitchen. So I had to dress for the occasion. So I got my little towel right here. So if that's what you see on my butt, it's just a towel that I can easily wipe my hands on with. After working in the restaurant so many years, it just becomes habits sometimes. Those habits are hard to break. All right, so here you go. This is what it looks like. Let me get some mittens on real quick, and I'll put it up close. So that way you can just, oh, I wished you could smell it, because it smells so good. Get this off right here. Look at that. See how it's all nice and covered? Now I'm going to stick it in the oven just like this. I will put a lid over it like that, and I'm going to let it, because I want it to steam, and in fact, no, I'm going to leave it just like that. So I'm going to put it in the oven just like this, and I'm going to let it bake for about 20-25 minutes, because for the most part they're already soft, because I fried them up real quick. If you're not going to fry them, you need to, and you're just going to break them in there raw, which I've done before, you have to do it for about 45 minutes. But because I'm on a time crunch and I'm making a lot today, I've got a lot going on in my kitchen today, I'm kind of just gonna speed it along. So let me go ahead and get this in the oven, and we're gonna work on the rosemary chicken next. And now we're getting ready to prepare the rosemary chicken. And I'm sure if you look out there, there's lots of recipes that you can find. This is just what I've done. I've always made it this way, and this is how the Grand Princess likes it. So this is how I'm going to show you to do it today. Now this is frozen chicken, just a little bit. Let me wash my hands. I don't like touching chicken, and then I don't like touching chicken, period. Hold on. Get my little trusted chicken thingies. This is what I mess with chicken with. Back to the recipe. Okay, so I've got my Foodi grill going. We're going to be working today with the, point it down right there with the Foodi Ninja. Love this baby just as, oh, well, I can't say I love it as much as my Instapot. That wouldn't be true, but I do love my Foodi. It's easy to grill with on cold days like today. Oh, Lord have mercy. I know some of you are even colder than we are, but for the coastal South, I mean, we live in the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and it's not supposed to be this cold. But anyways, so I'm not going outside to grill. I'm not going outside to mess with my smoker. So I'm going to use my grill, my Foodi, to do my grilling. I've got it heating up right now, so I hope that you can hear me over this. But let's go ahead and get started with the recipe. I use peanut oil because it has a high heat. I don't really know what the word is, but it just, it's high heat, and it just works better to me when you're cooking, and you want a crisp on it, and you want that crisp, and you want it juicy. I just use my peanut oil. I love peanut oil, and I'm sorry, you know, I know that everybody has to be careful with peanut oil, but fortunately in this house we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to put this down so you can see what I'm doing, and there you go. Okay, so I just, as you can see, I just covered it with peanut oil, and they are a little frozen, but that's okay because they're mostly thawed, but they do still have a little bit of ice to them. Now, I don't season them until I oil them because I want the season to stay on them. So I just put a little bit of salt right here, and a little bit of garlic, and that's my main go-to is salt, garlic, and pepper. That's mainly going to be what I cook with. Salt, garlic, and of course the cracked pepper. Love the cracked pepper. Love how it smells, loves how it tastes, loves how it looks. Just love, love, love it. And Honey Bunny's home. So y'all are going to hear the dog bark. I thought I could beat him, but he beat me home. I didn't make it to church this morning, but so here you go. I've got this going on, and because I have store-bought rosemary and not from the garden, I'm going to kind of crush it up just to give it a little bit of a wake-up call, I guess. I don't know if it really does anything, but it makes me feel better. So I'm going to go ahead and just crush it up a little bit. Oh, smell! Can you smell that beautiful rosemary in there? Even for a store-bought, it still smells so fragrant. All right, so, and another thing about crushing it up, now if it was fresh from the garden, like I try to get it, you couldn't really mortar it like this because then it would turn into a pesto, but the dry you can. And then I'm just gonna sprinkle it on there like that, and let it get all over it. Get these pieces that are down here. And we love rosemary chicken in this house, and I usually serve it with homemade rosemary bread. And I did make some homemade rosemary bread. This time I made it with a sourdough. Normally I don't use a sourdough, but I used a sourdough, and it didn't turn out too bad. So I'll heat that up. I think I made that a day ago. So I'll heat that rosemary bread up because we were actually supposed to have rosemary chicken yesterday, but we went out to eat instead. So I'm making her rosemary chicken today for Valentine's Day. So that will be her goodie from Grandma. All right, so I'm gonna let my Foodi heat up, and when it's done, I'll be right back to show you what it looks like when it's done. And next, I'm gonna show you what's cooking for dessert. Nice and easy, cheesy peasy, really easy, just a cake box mix, but I'll show you in just a minute. Okay, so I've got the Foodi preheated. It's ready to go. Let me show you what it kind of looks like. Let me see if I can turn this around. I'm working in a different space today because I got homemade chocolate yogurt going on the other side. So, but this is, you know, I've got all my chicken right here going in. Can you hear that sizzle? Ooh, doesn't that sound so yummy? And I try to fit them all in there. Normally I can fit just this amount that we need, but I do try to make sure that they're not touching, so that way they'll thoroughly cook, and we don't have any. And if they do touch, it's very, small places, and while I'm letting them rest, I'll separate, I'll flip them again so that way the rest can kind of cook. And I take the leftover, don't need both of those, the oils, and just go back over it so that way all the rosemary can go on there, on the places that it fell off, and that oil just stays juicy and so scrumptious. And then I will take some more rosemary, and there you go. And there it is. Bring this a little bit closer if I can, since I can't. Can you see that? And now I'm going to close it and let the Foodi do its thing. I do 12 minutes, 11 to 12 minutes. That's what works for me. But you'll just have to, if you have a Foodi, you'll just have to do what you're so used to. All right, so now it's dessert time. Are you ready for some dessert? We've got our chicken still cooking. We've got our potatoes done, and I'm going to show you those in just a minute. They smell so good. But now let's do dessert. All right, so let me turn it down right here. Okay, now, so what I did is I took a box cake mix and just prepared it as normal, and then I did these little ramekins. Isn't that so cute? Look. And then this one is, this one will have no topping on it because one of the family members do not like frosting, so we'll just do this right here, and there you go. That one is done. So this is what you do with the frosting. My husband, I can't even come close to his grandma's chocolate cake, golden cake with chocolate mix, but I try, and he knows I do it with a lot of love, but it's not even close to Mama's. But anyways, what I do is I heat up some butter, and I melted a little bit, but it got cold while I was sitting here waiting. And then I just took maybe like 2 tablespoons of butter, because I don't want butter to be the flavor. I don't want butter to be the game, gather all the attention, I guess. So I'm gonna just cream this up right here, and then I take some Hershey's syrup that, now she used to use the can. I can't find the can anymore, so I just use this right here. I let it get to room temperature, and I don't measure. I just, she never measured. Nobody knows her measurements, she just never measured. She just did. And then I just kind of mix it all together like this right here. And I might have to heat it up a little bit, which I think I will do, to get those clumps out. And let me do that real quick. I will just heat that up real quick. Okay, so there it is. I stuck it in the microwave for about 10 minutes. I don't want it melty, because then it just won't do right on the cake. So I wanted to make sure that it was still kind of thick, so I didn't leave it in there long enough, but it was long enough to get most of the lumps out, which is okay. I mean, it's not like it's for the family, so it's not like it's a paid for meal, so I can afford to have those little clumps in there, because they know it's all done with love. So what you do then is you take your little, let's see if I can turn that down a little bit more. And see, what I did is, the tops look like that and they were uneven, so what I did was I just kept it even with the ramekin and just poured that off, so that way it would stay even with the ramekin. I'm not going to see that anyways, and I just I have a bowl that I dump that in, and then I'm going to make sure that I probably got chocolate on my lips tasting it to make sure that it was all right. And just do this right here. And then I'm not taking it out of the bowl. They can eat it right out of the ramekin. And then just spread this beautiful chocolate deliciousness. Alrighty, and then do the other one. And that's kind of why you needed to have cut the tops off, so that way will have some room to fall into the bowl, because you don't really want it going off the sides like that one is trying to go. Now when I baked these, I did spray them with Pam so that way they wouldn't be stuck and they would be easy to come out. And then here you go, the last one. And I have to get a scraper for this one to make sure that I can get all that wonderfulness out of there. I think today is the closest I've come to her. Still not mammals, but the closest that I've come to her recipe. Let me get out a little scraper. So I can get all of that goodness out of there. And voila. Now a box cake mix, I think these are 5-inch ramekins. A box cake mix made 4 of the hearts, and because that's all I had. I'm sure it would have made one more, but all I had was 4 because that's all I needed. And then I had 2 more 5-inch ramekins, and so I just filled up 2 more that I had that were not heart shapes, and that's it. And it sounds like our chicken is done, so let me wash my hands and I will show you the potatoes because dessert is done. Sit that right there, and while we're eating dinner, this frosting will set a little bit. Okay, so we did it, except for we didn't get the fried corn made. Honey Bunny beat me home. So anyways, but here's what's for dinner tonight. We've got, let me show you the yogurt. I wish you could smell it. Not quite ready yet, still got a couple of hours on the yogurt, but chocolate caramel yogurt. Oh, so good. There's the yogurt, look at that. Still cooking. So in a couple of hours, that'll be nice and thick and so delicious, ready to eat. Well, you gotta let it cool for 4 hours. And then here is dinner. Well, our Valentine's lunch. Rosemary chicken. Now on the potatoes, you see that there's no bay leaves. When you pull the bay leaf, when you pull that out of the oven, you want to make sure that you remove all the bay leaves. You don't want to crush them. You want to keep them big so that way you can remove them easily, because you don't want to eat the bay leaves. They're just tough. And then some homemade sourdough bread. And that's what's cooking for dinner tonight. Happy Valentine's Day and have a wonderful week, and see you tomorrow.